Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geek Remix Podcast, Episode 5. I'm Stacy.
And I'm Mari.
So to start things off, get into a little bit of news. On February 27th, that was the 20th anniversary of Pokemon.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I know. And I was, sitting there thinking about all the Pokemon I played when I was a kid and, collecting the cards and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, holy shit, it's been 20 years.
My very first memory of Pokemon is, I go up to this girl on the playground. She's playing on her Game Boy, and I'm like, what game are you playing? And she's like, oh, Pokemon. And she was talking to somebody else, and she's like, yeah, my thing is level 10. And I was like, how many levels are there? Because I thought she meant she was on level 10, but really her Pokemon were level 10.
Yeah.
I think she was in the town with, the graveyard in it, the really weird town where it was like, this is where we keep the dead Pokemon. And I was like,
just
okay.
so creepy. Yeah. So they're going to be releasing Pokemon Moon and Pokemon Sun in holiday 2016 this year. And I was, thinking to myself, I was like, should I get a Pokemon game? Because now
Oh my God.
What?
Stacy. You know what this means?
What?
I finally have a friend to trade Pokemon with.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Finally.
I never traded with anybody. I traded with my siblings, but that was it. I didn't have, any friends that played it, really.
Man.
Because I was just way too cool for everybody, that's why.
Yeah, you were ahead of it.
I was just so ahead of everybody.
Yeah, it's because, yeah, definitely. Totally. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I traded Pokemon cards.
Yeah. My younger siblings got way more into the cards than I did though. I had a couple packs, but they had where a full binder.
I had a full binder.
Yeah.
I had a binder for my Pokemon cards, and then I gave it to my cousin. I don't know where it is now.
Yeah.
I bet it'd be worth a lot of money now because I had a lot of really rare cards.
I don't know. Are they worth any money now?
Yeah, because everybody who was a fan then is an adult now.
Oh, yeah. Now they have, all this money, and they're like, I'm going to, collect all the Pokemon swag I could never have as a kid.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I had, a holographic Charizard. Well, everyone, according to the book, the holographic Charizard was the rarest.
Mm-hmm.
But the Go Team Rocket was actually the rarest one.
Oh, of course.
Duh. Don't you remember this?
Real fans know that.
Duh, idiot God.
I have a feeling that when I get older, I wonder if I'm going to be one of those people who has a separate room in my house for all just nerd shit, you know?
How, in my house?
Well, but it's no. How they go to the house of a collector and it's filled with all this Pac-Man stuff.
It's the Stacy Cave.
Yeah, exactly. But there won't be anything useful in it. There won't be a gaming system or anything. It'll literally just be a room of stuff.
Did I ever tell you about how I posted? So in my house, I have this recording studio set up. And after I put it together, I took pictures and posted it on Man Cave, the subreddit for man caves or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, check out my girl cave. And all these people got really shitty at me because it was oh, this is for man caves. And I was like, I don't understand how my cave looks it's not this room looks feminine, stereotypically feminine at all.
No.
It had all my gaming set up and foam on the walls, and I was like, are you guys for real? Is this a joke? I thought they were joking at first, but then people were actually mad about it. I was like, what is wrong with you?
Mari, because you're encroaching on the territory. Don't you understand?
I thought okay, so these are all adult humans, because who has a man cave when they're a child?
Nobody. Because it's their bedroom. That's why.
And I was just sitting there is this a joke? I can't believe it. You guys are actually mad that I said girl cave and then posted a gaming room.
Nope, not allowed.
That's so stupid. It was so stupid. I was like, what is wrong with you?
They don't
You're
even
so
they don't even really have a way to verify your gender, but they knew.
Well, I called it a girl cave.
Yeah.
But, like, who cares?
They're like, nope, see that femme shep over there? That's definitely a girl. Too girly for us.
I think someone was like, why didn't you just call it a man cave? And I was like, because I'm not a man. And they're like, well, this is for man caves. And I was like,
okay.
I think you'll survive. And then I refused to take it down. And then I got really obnoxious about it.
As per usual, what else is new?
Well, who's gonna fucking tell me what to do?
Yeah.
Like, I remember I made the, like, top girlfriends for girls, like, because we try to make sure, like, there's, like, a diversity of contents and try not to, like, focus too much on one type of content.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so I did the top girlfriends for girls video.
Top
like,
boyfriends.
Like, I don't need to, like, do it for a while. Like, just, like, you know, make sure there's a diversity of content. Some people were like, I didn't sign up for this. Like, this is not why I subscribe. And I was like, oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? Now it's going to be gayer than ever.
It's really weird when people say that because it's like, I don't really care, you know?
No, yeah, we don't care.
It's like when they're like, oh, like, I didn't know you were like this. Like, I don't support this. Like, and I'm like, well, that's, you know.
Oh, no. Here's the thing. They're like, oh, are they lesbians? That's, like, cool, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as, like, actual gay shit happens, they're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Gay stuff.
It's like they're like totally fine with like fantasizing about us being lesbians, but if we actually talk about any gay shit, they like don't want to hear it.
It's like, okay, so on the Coming Out on Top series, which I was like, okay, we can cool it on Coming On Top. And now I'm like, no, we're going to play Coming On Top every day for the rest of our lives. Because some people are like, God, I like really support you guys on Geek Remix channel, but I just can't support this. And I was like, if you can't support this, then you don't support Geek Remix. And then, like, because we just got a bunch of new subscribers who were male, so then, like, all these, like, randos came onto our Coming Out on Top series being like, ugh, like, this is weird, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, okay.
Then just don't watch it. That's like,
I know.
That's we put out tons of videos. Like, just, if you don't want to watch it, just don't watch it. It's like if we did, like, a third-person shooter, like, a whole bunch of our subscribers, like, wouldn't really be interested, which is fine. Just don't watch it.
I know. We have, like, a huge diversity of content. And, so I put, like, a blanket statement down on the latest one, which seems to have confused so many new subscribers. Like, what is this? Is this a penis? I was just like, you know, if you don't want to watch this video, that's fine. We have a ton of other videos for you guys to watch. But if you don't support, like, this type of game, then you don't support Geek Remix. And if you think this is quote-unquote disgusting, then you think Geek Remix is disgusting. So you can't be like, and that's what I said. But it's like, there were so many comments that I was like, I had to delete them because they were just such garbage.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, well, like, oh, I love you guys, but I just can't get behind this. And I was like, I don't know what videos you've been watching where you thought that this was not us.
I know.
But it is. It's
very strange. Like, I don't feel like we hide the fact that we support that at all.
And we love it.
Yeah.
It's everything.
I know.
And, like, when we came out with that 2 interviewees video, we lost a ton of well, not a ton, like 20 subscribers. But I think they were all, like, new subscribers. All those weird randos. And we didn't even say anything that, like, ridiculous. You literally cited from your job that's about hiring people. Like, you work at a company that specifically
hires people. That's, like, the job of the company.
Yeah. Stacey's company, like, literally studies and does hiring. And Stacey was like, yeah, it's true. And they're like, no, Stacey, you're wrong. And I was like, you're an idiot.
Except that, like, if she was wrong, then her company would be wrong, and her company would not make any money. Yeah. So, like, all these people are like, oh, this is all based on flawed statistics, and I guarantee you they, like, read it in a comment to something where someone was like, yeah, this is totally at. And I was like, well, you know, the whole, like, flawed statistics thing, like, I get where people are coming from because there are a lot of flawed statistics out there. but at the same time, it's not like the statistics that support that. It was like 1 or 2 studies. It's been like 100 studies.
Yeah.
You know, like in tons of countries all over the world over the past like 20 or 30 or 40 years. You know?
I saw some sarcastic post from somebody a while ago being like, feminism, the idea that there's been a conspiracy to oppress women for the last 10,000 years. And I was like, have you read history? Like, are you serious? Is that a joke?
Yeah.
I'm not saying like women are in the same place they were 100 years ago, but there definitely like actually was one.
Well, the very fact that when you read a history book, the majority of the people you read about are white men. Like,
and then people are like, oh, well, you know, if women were that smart or if minorities were that smart, they would be like more prominent in history. I'm like, no, because they weren't allowed to go to school.
Yeah.
Duh. Like, and there's so few women, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, because they weren't allowed to go to school. And when they did finally like show that they were smart, people were like, I don't think so, honey. Like, blah, 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 blah.
Do they not remember like what a big deal it was when they first opened like black universities and stuff? Like that was an actual historical
People were
thing.
mad about it.
Yeah.
Like, and it still had to be segregated.
Yeah. Well, no, like what? No, they had separate.
No, I'm saying they couldn't go to universities, so black people were like, I'll make my own.
Yes.
Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's why those existed, is because they weren't allowed to go to colleges with white people. So I don't understand how they can say, oh, man. I don't know.
Sure. Like, they're like, anyway. I'm just saying, like, if people are going to be like, well, how come there aren't any, like, I'm like, well, how come there haven't been any, like, lead actresses who are Asian who won from the Oscars? To be like, well, shouldn't we just wait until there's a female Asian actress good enough to deserve an award? And I'm like, there's no parts, you dumb shit.
And I mean,
like,
I know like that people get really bent out of shape about the whole like Natalie Portman thing. Even if you counted Natalie Portman, that's still one person. One person. You know what I mean? And
there's other Asian parts that have won Oscars played by a white person.
People. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Fallout 4 mod support is coming to Xbox One in May. So, well, this is what they said. It's coming to Xbox One in May, PlayStation 4 in June. It will also enable Fallout 4 owners to search for mods using a workshop browser on Steam. And their goal is to get the mod support out between the first 2 DLC packs. Which
I wonder if they're going to pay are they going to pay the modders?
I don't know. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know like what kind of mod support they're actually going to enable, because I really can't imagine them bringing like all the mods.
No, that's impossible. I'm sure there's some sort of vetting process. Because I'm like, all right, I'm going to get bare dicks and titties on my
yeah, like we're
console.
selling this on your Xbox One. Parents, buy this for your kids. Like,
no, I don't think it's going to be like titties and stuff. It's probably going to be like extra ammo or like multiplayer stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I was wondering, even if they were to do something like this, do you think that they're going to use mods that have been made by modders, or are they going to make their own?
Well, if they make their own mods, that means that that's basically a DLC, so I don't think so. I think they're going to use actual modder
mods?
Yeah, modder mods.
Because I mean, I kind of like that, though. I think it would be cool if they just had mod support on Xbox One and PlayStation.
Well, okay, so I know everyone got mad on Steam when Steam was like, oh, we're going to charge you for mods and the modders are going to make money, blah, blah, blah. For some reason in my head, I think that modders should be paid because it's nice. But for some reason, if you are going to actually vet it and put it on the Xbox One and PS4, maybe those modders really should be paid some sort of upfront amount of money. Like, if those mods are going to be free, I think they should pay those modders, like, money. Because for somebody on Xbox One or PS4 and who's able to put mods on their Fallout 4 game, like that's adding a lot of value to their game. And honestly, I really think that if they're going to do that, they should pay those modders at the very least.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and people put a lot of work into those. I mean, it's like any other, it's like creating like a new thing for the game.
It's like making it an official part of the game.
Yeah.
Before it was like ragtag, like put some titties on your shit. I know that there's a lot of really great PC mods, I'm saying, but they're like making it an official part of the game. So basically, I think that they should pay them some sort of upfront fee or something.
At that, like, if they make it an official part of the game, there's no difference between that and like if Bethesda had made it themselves. And if Bethesda had made it themselves, the people at Bethesda would have been paid to do it. So, therefore, if a modder creates it and they actually make it able for consumers to get to it, like on Xbox One and PlayStation, like people should be paid for it. Even if it's a relatively small amount, like per install or something like that. You know?
I think it should be an upfront fee just to make it more simple and stuff. But it's just like, I know it's a really complicated thing because people did not like it when paid for mods were on Steam because before that they were free. I get it. And people were stealing other people's mods and like uploading them and all this stuff. But I think that if you're going to have it on Xbox One and PS4, they have to vet those mods. They have to like go through them and make sure everything's like A-okay. And
what, it won't be like the Xbox Live Marketplace where they just let literally anything, any piece of shit game come on there?
Oh god, I can't wait for the shit games to come back because I actually loved it.
I know, me too. They were okay. So those of you who aren't familiar with our Shitty Look series, those were from the Xbox 360 Marketplace, which is basically like a complete free for all in terms of letting people upload games, like small games that they made. But we haven't been able to play a lot of those lately because nobody's making them anymore. So basically they need to like...
Well, we need to go into the Steam Greenlight.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do.
You know what we really need to do? We need to play some from... what's that fucking studio? Digital Homicide.
Those drama queens.
So, if any of you are using Google's GPS app Waze, they've now added Morgan Freeman to the list of celebrities that can navigate your turn-by-turn directions. They also have like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Kevin Hart. Have you heard of that?
I haven't.
Okay, so the Waze app is basically, it's kind of like, it's like one of those like turn-by-turn direction GPS apps. Mm-hmm. But like instead of having Siri being like, turn left after like 3 miles, you would have like a celebrity give you directions. So if you wanted to listen to Morgan Freeman like narrating your, car trip across the United States.
I want Edie to do it.
I mean, they'd have to add her, though.
I know, I'm joking.
Oh. But, yeah.
I don't really have much of a interest in, like, celebrities, but if I could get, like, a video game character, I'd be like, oh, yeah.
Wouldn't that be
Hell
really...
Yeah,
I was thinking about it. I mean, Morgan Freeman I thought was kind of cool just because he's, like, the voice of, like, God, March of the Penguins type shit, where he just, like, everything he says sounds like it's, like, an epic part of your life. So, I thought that was kind of neat. Former California Senator Leland Yee was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Yee was sentenced on corruption charges in a sweep against 29 individuals, blah, 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 blah. And during this guy, during his time at the state Senate, he was the guy who authored legislation that was signed into law preventing the sale or rental of violent video games to minors. That statute was later overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court, which was like a really big deal for being in conflict with the First Amendment. So,
is it in conflict with the First Amendment to have something be like rated R or something?
I think that what their big issue is like, how can you? I don't know. I don't know why they had a difference between. I don't know like what their rating system was. if they had just said, like, blanket sweep, like, anything with violence in it can't be sold to minors.
Wait, which guy was this?
This was Leland Yee.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So I don't know exactly, like, what their scale of violence was, but if they said just, like, anything with violence in it can't be sold to minors, that's
anything with violence.
That's kind of bullshit, because that doesn't obey, like, a rating system like it would for any other type of media, like movies and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the fact that the U.S. Supreme Court got involved, I remember that being kind of a big deal. George R.R. Martin has been running his mouth about the Winds of Winter book instead of just finishing the fucking book already.
I don't know. It's like, I used to like to give him shit, but then now that Stacy and I are like barely a blip on the radar, I can barely handle it. And I can't imagine how much shit he gets.
No. Oh my God. Yeah.
It's like, I get so many messages a day about just stuff, and then people yelling at me for not like answering them, and I'm like, I can't. But I remember he got really mad that people like talk about him dying, and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Oh,
fuck off.
Well, it's because people were, you know why though? Okay.
Well, yeah, I know why, but it makes you realize, like, you know, he's a person, you know?
Wait, are we talking about the same thing?
George R.R. Martin got mad that people were being like, oh, he's got to finish the book before he dies. And he's like, I'm a person. Like,
the reason people are saying that is because of that other guy who was writing that huge epic fantasy series that was
The Wheel
never
of
finished.
Time.
Yeah. I mean,
I know, it's still not a good reason why, though.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of morbid. I don't think that... I'm sure some people were doing it maliciously, but...
It's not maliciously. I think he just felt like he wasn't being treated like a human being.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, like, he's right. I shouldn't be, like, talking about if he's gonna die before he finishes the books.
It's really morbid, I think, is what it is. Like,
it's also kind of rude towards him, because, like, he's a person. He's, like, a human being. And I was like, oh, yeah, like, I shouldn't be talking about him like that. You know, because, like, I just, like, and then I tried to imagine how I would feel if a bunch of people were like, oh, I hope she doesn't die. And I'm like, what?
Like,
I would be mad.
Excuse me?
Yeah. So.
Well, it's like whenever people talk about you in the third person, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. That's so weird.
Especially if they talk about things that you believe in or things that they think you said, and you're like, I never said that.
Well, I just remember the way he used to be. Okay, so Hipster Mari, I read the books like way before the TV show came out. And like,
God,
I'm the one who was like, Stacey, read this, and you're like, Then the first episode came out, and you're like, so can I get that book?
How's your handlebar mustache doing?
But I remember, like, I used to follow his blog, and he used to, like, post fan pictures and be like, blah, 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 blah. And he used to just be, like, really friendly. And now he's kind of standoffish because it's just too much.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. His blog is the one that recommended the Bone Dolls twin to me. He was like, this is one of the best books I've read in years. But anyway, he just used to be a lot more friendly. And even then, I finished, what's the book before A Dance of Dragons?
Honestly, I have no idea. It's just one big, long book to me.
I finished that one in 2009. And I was like, and at the end of it said, oh, Dance of Dragons should be out by 2007. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wait.
Well, it's a little late now, but I'm sure it'll be here any minute.
Oh, God.
And then I was like, I guess I'll just read all the books again. Maybe then, by the time I'm done, it'll be out.
You know,
okay.
I want to do that, but I kind of, like, I'll probably listen to them on Audible, like, before, like, in the run-up to when the next one comes out, because, honestly, it's been such a while since I read them. I feel like if I wouldn't even be able to have a, like, intelligent conversation about, like, where everybody is in the story right now.
It's really hard. Okay, so in the books, the time between the brutality is very far. And when I started watching the show, they kind of cut out all the intrigue, and they're like, and now this person dies, and now this person dies, and I'm like, ugh, it's too much to, like, in one compacted thing, because at least when you're reading the books, there's, like, here's all these small details, here's some character development, now this guy's face gets ripped off, and then we go back to this other stuff, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I feel like
show, it's like,
I feel like in the show, you miss out on a lot of the, like, the reasons why people do things, like
the inner thoughts is really, like, that's what I always loved about the books, because they were so flawed but relatable.
Yeah, and it's just very well developed. I feel like when things happened, you always kind of the book didn't have to tell you why people were doing what they were doing. You always kind of understood because you understood the characters, whereas like in the show I feel like they have to spell things out for you a little more
because they don't have enough time.
It's
like an entire season for one book, and it's still not enough.
And I mean, like, I understand that you have to like juice things up for television, I guess, but it's just like it got to the point where I was just like, okay.
Oh, well, I watched the first season. I was like, oh, this is pretty like accurate representation of what's going on. Got a little bit into the second season, and I was like, what happened? Where are we going?
Yeah. Well, and especially when, so you know that like the next seasons that are coming up like are gonna diverge from the books.
Yeah, I haven't really been following it, and I don't really have an issue with spoilers because for some reason, like, if I don't tell people what I like, I never get a spoiler, unfortunately, for Stacy.
Oh, what?
Remember, I tried to warn you because I saw on my dashboard all these people mad about the 100, and I was like, oh shit, I should tell Stacy, and I was like, Stacy, watch out.
Yeah.
I'm coming.
Somebody asked me the other day, they were like, hey, what TV shows do you watch? And I was like, I actually don't want to tell you because whenever I mention like what TV shows I watch, I just get like a bunch of spoilers whenever a new episode comes out. So yeah.
It's like when Life is Strange was coming out and we had to like shut down our Twitter accounts before it came out.
Yeah.
And when you went on your honeymoon, you had to turn off your Tumblr and Asks and everything just so people wouldn't like send you millions of spoilers.
Yeah, I had to turn everything off. I couldn't go on Twitter. It was like had to like shut that shit down.
Too much.
What?
It was just too much.
Yeah. In more news about mods, XCOM 2 modders have added a Bob Ross voice pack to the Steam Workshop. So, you know who Bob Ross is, right?
Yeah.
So Bob can congratulate you on a good shot and give you encouragement while you play.
In XCOM 2?
Yeah.
Have they fixed the frame rate? Is there a mod for that?
I have no idea.
Oh, burn XCOM 2!
Oh! You can also get a Darth Vader voice pack and Stormtrooper helmets if you want to, like, Star Wars up your XCOM 2 experience.
Nice.
I remember when that whole, like, 24-hour Twitch stream of Bob Ross was going on. That was just, like, awesome. He's so positive. It's, like, hard not to feel good when you're watching Bob Ross.
I have to pee.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey. And I'm sure you heard that Fable Studio Lionhead is closing.
I thought it had already closed.
Oh, perhaps. I think Sony is going to hire up a bunch of the people that work there because they were talking about... I was reading some news about it today.
I thought it was gone. I thought it had been closed, and that's why Peter Molyneux made his shitty studio, but I guess not?
No. It's closing, like, soon or now, I guess.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm always like, oh, Lionhead equals Peter Molyneux, so then that's over.
No, they hadn't closed yet, but they are now, which I'm sure is going to be kind of a rough time for all the people that work there.
I'm sure they get scooped up because, I don't know, maybe not, probably not.
Yeah.
But maybe in our dreams, since Sony picked up Hideo Kojima, they'll work for him, I guess. Maybe.
I mean, Sony was talking about hiring, like having like a hiring event, which is basically like, so if a company buys another company, like this isn't an acquisition situation, but like if a company buys another company, what they'll do is they'll host like a hiring event, which is basically where anybody that works for that other company can not like compete, but like submit their resumes to work for the company that's buying them. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes when companies acquire another company, they call it like an acqui-hire, where what they really want to do is they just want to like get all the talent from that company. But other times they'll do like a hiring event, which is where like they'll buy like the company so that they can get the IPs and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then they'll have like a hiring event to see if they want to hire any of the people, which is generally if they don't have room to hire everybody, but they want to see like who's the best of the best, essentially. Mm-hmm. Have it be like a Hunger Games for jobs.
Okay. Any of you who fail will die.
Will die. Like you have to, can you just imagine like all these like business people having to like kill each other for what?
There was a movie about that. I forget what it was called, but it was really good. And I was sitting there like, oh my God, what is wrong with these people?
Where people have to kill each other for jobs?
Well, it wasn't really killing each other. It was, they were like, oh, we're all going to work for this cutthroat company. And there's only a certain amount of jobs and blah, blah, blah. Like, it was like a really lucrative job. It's like in the future where like there's some disease or some shit.
Oh.
And like this company makes the medicine for that disease, and they're all like, we need to get in because money, blah blah blah. And they're like, there's a test that they need to take, and on each and every person's like piece of paper, there's like all these different rules, and there's a question.
You're gonna talk about this movie, and it's gonna sound really awesome, and then no one's gonna know what it is.
Oh, what is it called? Oh, damn it! Hold on, let me just Google it.
Okay. While you're Googling that, I wanted to just address really quickly. So a lot of people ask what other podcasts we listen to, since we don't put out podcasts like, every day. So other ones that I would recommend, if you like spooky stuff, I would recommend The Black Tapes, Lore, and The Message. Those are all really good. Limetown is also another one that's kind of spooky. If you like gaming news, I would check out Jimquisition's Podquisition.
I found it. It's called Exam.
Oh, okay.
It's really good. It's an indie film, so it's like, you ever have those indie films where it all takes place in one room, but you're sitting there like, oh my God.
Oh man. You're talking about like essentially like a bottle film.
What's a bottle film? Is that what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so a bottle film or like a bottle episode is where everything takes place in one room or one setting.
Ah, I like those. Well, not the episodes when it's on a TV. Sorry.
You're falling apart today.
Yeah, I just gotta pee, gotta cough. But when it's in a movie, I feel like that's when writing is its strongest. Well, sometimes. Because they're like, how can we make a low budget thing but like a lot of tension?
Yeah. I don't know. I always feel like I feel like I haven't watched like a good one of those yet, because whenever I watch it, it always just feels like really forced. Like it feels like they're purposefully limiting themselves to that situation. They
are purposely limiting themselves.
I know, but like it's where you can actually feel it, and it's not just like, oh, I'm into the story. Like the fact that they are limiting themselves becomes like a part. You know what I mean?
I end up really liking them. Like there's this movie called Low, and you can tell it has a limited budget, but the story's really good. It's about a man who falls in love with a woman, and she ends up being a demon.
Yeah.
He's trying to find her, and he takes this book that she left behind, and he tries to summon her, but he keeps summoning the wrong demons.
Oh my God.
And they keep trying to trick him and all this stuff, and he just loves her, and he just wants to see her again. And she's like, and it all takes place it kind of looks like a play, but it's like in this dark room.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. I liked it. It's called Low. Yeah. And there's another one I liked where aliens abduct all these people. I can't remember what it was called. Sorry. They abduct all these people and they put them in a room and they all have to vote who's going to die.
See, like, why would you tell us about it if you don't know what it is?
I can find it.
For other podcasts, if you like...
Circle. It's called Circle.
Circle?
Yeah.
How do you find these so fast? You just type in, like, aliens movie.
I type in a room, vote who has to die.
Oh.
And it says, and then it does circle. I'm really good at Google.
Yeah.
But anyway, I love those movies. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So a couple other podcasts that I would recommend would be, if you like history and kind of like badass history, I would recommend Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. If you like politics, I like Common Sense with Dan Carlin. I don't always agree with everything he says, but I feel like his opinions are very... Do you ever listen to somebody talk and you're like, oh, I don't agree with what you're saying, but you've put a lot of thought into this and you don't just sound like an angry person, like completely talking out of your ass?
Well, yeah, I got in a huge fight with Laura yesterday. Laura Kate Dale. Well, it wasn't like a real fight. It was like a joke fight.
Yeah.
About the ending of Mass Effect 3. And she was like, oh no, she read out her entire Mass Effect 3 article. And I was like, don't you dare! It was all on some guy's stream because they were raising money for Laura's private gender surgery. Mm-hmm. And if, Laura's having a fundraiser for her private gender surgery. Sorry to go off topic. I have ADD. She wants to get private gender surgery, which means that she lives in England and they have public health care there. But due to funding cuts, she's already been waiting for 3 years, and it's going to be like at least another 2.5 years on a waiting list for this to happen for her.
Yeah.
And that's like a really long time to wait. So she's trying to raise funds to be able
to do it privately.
Which is a really long time to wait because my friend in Canada, he's female to male, and he's getting he already got his breast tissue removed, and I think he only had to wait like 2 years, but then he added time onto that so that he could take a break from school to recover. But like that's a really long time to wait, even if you're in a public health care system.
Because so just imagine imagining it for myself, like this would be like if I found out that I had bipolar disorder and somebody was like, hey, you have to wait 5 years to get your medication.
Yeah.
Like, because this is, saying like, hey,
there's a solution, but you can't have it
There's a solution, but you can't have it for 5 years. Like, that's a long time. It's a long time to be walking around feeling like, hey, my body doesn't match how I feel on the inside.
That's a really good way to explain it. Being bipolar, but not being allowed to have
the solution, or what could be the solution to a lot of the things that you feel. Yeah. So in that vein, yeah. Go ahead.
Fundraising campaign. Sorry, I am all over.
Yeah. All right. Are you good?
I'm trying to find like a way for them to navigate themselves towards it. Go to her Twitter and then find it, or just be like, Mari, what's the link to her thing? And I'll tell you.
Okay. In that mental health vein, so a lot of people ask us about resources for mental health, like if you need somebody to talk to or, work through feelings and stuff. Though I find that the website 7 Cups of Tea is really good because they match you up with somebody who can like talk to you more, you know, and like listen to how you feel. Because I know that for me, at least, sometimes like if I need somebody to talk to, it's nice to talk to somebody who, I don't know, will just listen.
You never have to deal with again?
Who's like anonymous. You like don't have to deal with them. You know that they don't know. So like talking to the people that are in your life sometimes can be hard because you know that they have their own biases about what they would say to you or like how they think you should feel. But if you're talking to somebody who's like anonymous, it can be kind of nice to just be like, oh, well, this person just wants to listen to you. They want to listen to like whatever you have to say, you know?
And you can say whatever you want.
And you can, well, you can't like.
Okay, well, you know what I mean.
You can't like make suicidal threats and stuff like that. That's the one thing that you can't do. And that is only because if you are feeling suicidal, you should be calling 911 or whatever the number is in your country for immediate emergency help.
If you think that you want to send Stacy or I a message saying that you want to kill yourself, please call 911 because we don't have the resources to help you. Yes. And we're not qualified as doctors or therapists. No. We are not able to do that.
Yeah. And also if you want to go to like a meeting or something, I know a lot of people have heard about, you know, Alcoholics Anonymous and stuff like that, but they also have meetings like Emotions Anonymous for mental health and Overeaters Anonymous which includes any eating disorders. So it's not just for overeaters. It can also be if you have anorexia or bulimia or anything else that has to do with eating.
It's just the most popular group, so then it became the group.
It became the group.
Yeah.
So, to touch on a topic that we talked about a couple podcasts ago, so we were remember how we were talking about the Pirate Bay for scientific journals? Mm-hmm. So basically what it is when people release scientific papers, they normally go into academic journals, but most of them are hidden by a paywall of like $15, $30, or even $50, mm-hmm. which a university may have to pay several times per department in order for scientists at that school to access the research. Mm-hmm. And so scientists are also not paid for their contributions to academic scientific journals, mm-hmm. which is another reason why people were just like, you know what, like, fuck it. If you're going to make it so difficult and so expensive, and I'm going to give you these my papers, like my research, for free, and then you're going to charge me to view other people's research, I think, you know, academics just got really fed up with it. And so that's why.
It's kind of like books, textbooks for college. They're like, here's a $300 book. And it gets updated slightly every time.
And then, like, and then, like, when people resell it, they're like, oh, yeah, here's $20 off of a book that you paid, like, $200 for new. That's insane. That is insane. And, you know, it's such bullshit because, like, professors...
I pirate school books.
I pay a lot less for them because mine are all digital.
Kiddos out there who are like, oh my god, I can't afford my textbooks, blah 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 blah. Most textbooks you can find on Pirate Bay. Just saying, like, if you really can't afford it and your school's not helping you cover for it, I get it. You can find them on Pirate Bay.
Yeah. I'm not going to advocate for that. But...
I am.
Okay. So, talking about books, I just wanted to give a quick thank you to those of you who've checked out our sponsors. I really hope that you guys enjoy Audible and Geek Fuel as much as we do. Mari and I love talking about books, so even if we weren't sponsored by Audible, I think we would probably still talk about books.
I've been waiting for this. I got a new book. Can I talk about it? Or do you want to talk about yours first?
Hold on one second. So, if you guys want to check it out, the link is audibletrial.com/geekremix, and that gets you a free 30-day trial, which includes a free book. So I have read a couple different books in the time since we last got to talk about books, but go ahead with yours.
Okay, so I found a new, like, young adult book. You know how young adult books are, like,
the best.
Yeah.
I know, I've read a couple
best
of
books.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God, they're so good.
so there's this book called Red Queen, which is the first of a series.
Oh, fuck, I just finished reading it.
Oh my God, it's so fucking good,
it's so
right?
good.
I just finished the second one of that series, too, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, don't talk about the second one, because I haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay, so Red Queen and then its sequel, Glass Sword, are like fucking
And they have
incredible.
a prequel, too.
Yeah, I'm going to read that next, or listen to it next.
Yeah.
So I think from what they like hint around the books, this takes place in a like very far in the future, post-apocalyptic world where there was like a nuclear war or something.
Yeah.
And then they rebuilt it, and then there's these two classes of people called Silvers and Reds, and people who have silver blood have special powers.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if X-Men ruled the world.
Yeah, definitely.
And then they're like, this one girl's like, she's not a very good person. Like, but it's also like, you listen to all this. It's you know how when they have heroes who are like, no, I'm going to do the honorable thing no matter what. And she's like, I guess I'll do it. But if not, I won't. You know?
Yeah. It's a little more realistic.
And sometimes I'm like listening to things she's doing, and it all takes place from her perspective. So you hear all of her rationalization for this thing she does. And I think that's really interesting because you kind of sort of believe her, but then you're also like, I don't know, like, her, like, love octagon is a little ridiculous.
That's interesting how you thought of it that way. I was, like, totally right there with her. I was like, yeah, I agree with everything that she's doing. Okay. Yeah.
The whole time I was like, okay, I mean, I guess. If that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know how to not talk about Glass Swords, but I like her character development through the series. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. I really, really liked that book. It was just, like, so good.
It gets Stacy.
Yeah. It gets insane.
It's not like it gets insane, but I really love where all the characters go.
Yeah.
Like, I really like where that goes.
I know. I'm so excited. Like, the way they left it in Red Queen was just, I was like, oh, I need to, like, you know.
I mean, I love the story in Red Queen. And then in Glass Sword, like, the story's really cool, too. But I really love these characters are, like, very real. And at the same time, they don't try to, like, force it down your throat. Like, this is why I am doing this. Like,
yeah.
It's all from her perspective and her, like, watching other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, damn it. It was really cool. But she's like, oh, I never explained. I was so excited to tell you about this. But, like, that part where that.
Don't talk about any of the parts. Like, it's so.
I'm trying
to
just read the part that is the description for the book.
See, I don't even like reading descriptions for books because I feel like they always give away stuff that I would rather just discover on my own.
That's true, because I had read the description and then, like, I was waiting for the description to happen, so.
Yeah.
Just trust Stacy and I are like, holy shit, there's no lesbians in it, sorry.
No, but I have
like
a book with
7
queer
different
characters.
love interests. But
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, read Red Queen or listen to it or whatever. It's great.
So another young adult book that I read a couple weeks ago that I really liked was called, this was recommended to me by somebody on Twitter, and I don't remember who they were, and I'm really sorry, but thank you so much for the recommendation. It's called The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black.
I heard that. What was it? What's it about?
So it's about, this is another one of those things where it's like you can't give away too much of the story. There are vampires. It's set in like a modern world, though. The title, when I first read the title, I was like, this sounds like the dumbest thing ever, but like I just trusted that. And the title like makes sense afterwards, because you're like, oh, okay. They describe like when people get bitten by vampires, like they go cold. And they have these things called cold towns, which is basically where they segregated all the vampires. Mm-hmm. And they allow them to exist separate from the rest of the human population.
How do they eat?
They eat voluntary humans.
But they don't bite the humans?
No, they don't bite the humans.
Ah, okay.
So you know how like in some vampire books you have to drink vampire blood in order to turn?
So this is a very easy way to get turned.
Yeah, you just have to be bitten and then you'll turn eventually. There's like a little more that goes into it, but it explains it in the book. So the main character is not queer, but there is a bisexual boy and a trans girl. They're not the main characters, but I just found it cool that they were just like in the book, and the book like didn't even make a big deal out of it. It was just like, oh yeah, and like he likes to kiss everybody, you know? And that's fine.
Oh, so yesterday a bunch of people on Tumblr put in my Ask box some suggestions for lesbian books, so I'll just read them out. I haven't read them, but apparently everyone on Tumblr thinks they're great.
Okay.
From Noodly Vampire Queen, if you're taking lesbian sci-fi / fantasy suggestions, okay, well.
Whoa.
Just finished reading a fantasy novel called Thrall: Beyond Gold and Glory by Barbara Ann Wright, and it's pretty great. Mm-hmm. What else? But another good lesbian sci-fi novel is Ascension by Jacqueline Koyanagi. A really good a lot of sci-fi lesbians.
Yeah.
Really good sci-fi novel with a lesbian main character. Oh, that's also super funny with lots of action is Valhalla by Ari Batch.
I'm going to have to ask you for these again because I want to read them.
And hey, I know this really good fantasy who says this? Paladin Dan says, I know this really good fantasy novel with lesbians. It's by a local author, blah, 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 and I kind of thought you'd be into it. It's called Wings of Twilight by Hans Cummings. Okay. All right, yeah. There we go.
Yeah, because somebody had asked about that. If you also, I can't think of any books off the top of my head that have like queer main characters, but if you're looking for LGBTQ plus books, if you just Google like LGBT books, there's like tons of listicles on the internet that go through like a bunch of really good ones. So, in addition to the ones that Mari just read off too. Another book that I read recently was called All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. And that is about a blind French girl and a German boy in World War II.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
So you would just want to be depressed.
It doesn't get as depressing as it could. But it's very interesting to go through the book because some of it is told from her perspective and she's blind. Mm-hmm. And it really makes you, there are parts of it where it's like you can like feel that one of the senses is missing. So it was really interesting to like listen to a book where you can like, it talks about how she like finds her way around and stuff. This isn't really giving anything away, but her father makes a model town for her of like where she lives. Mm-hmm. Like he carves all these tiny little buildings out of wood so that she can like feel around and figure out where everything is, and that's how she finds her way around. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty cool. The end of it, so it has like the main story, and then like there's the end where it's like, oh, 40 years later, this is where everybody is. And that part I actually did not really like because I was kind of like, what is this doing here? But the main story itself, yeah, what?
What's the point of it?
Yeah, like what's the point? Like why have this here? But the main story part is really good. Very interesting read about that and to like read about it from perspectives that, you know, I don't know. It was kind of like an epic story about normal people. So it's like you don't realize it, you know?
Yeah. When you finish Glass Sword, can you tell me? Because I need someone to talk to about it.
Definitely. And please don't say anything else because you're the worst.
I'm trying so hard.
You're the worst.
Oh, I did a good job. I didn't say anything.
Okay. So if you guys want to check out any of those books, you can check them out on a free 30-day trial and a free book at audibletrial.com/geekremix. Now, I had a couple other questions that I wrote down. So people have been sending me questions to my Ask box, which you can send us podcast questions. It's ask.fm/geekremix-a-lot. And if you just write like podcast question, that way I won't answer it. So I don't know if you get asked this question a lot, but I do. People ask me for tips for getting over breakups.
Play a lot of video games.
Yeah,
That's literally it.
Yeah.
For me.
I don't know. I feel like time really does make it better, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, I know that's, like, not a great answer because people are like, well, but then I have to wait. But that it really does help.
Whenever I'm feeling shitty overall, I like to, like, play a game and listen to a podcast at the same time, so there is absolutely no room for thought.
Yeah,
at all. Like
that's why I like listening to audiobooks is because it like it gives you it's like you're like a distraction, and like you feel like you're getting something out of it. It's not just like, oh, you're distracting yourself doing something mindless. Like you're actually listening to a great story. It can make you feel better about what's going on, and then like after you stop listening to it, you're like, oh, I don't feel as bad, you know?
Yeah, my problems are not nearly as intense as this book's problems.
Yeah, just listen to like a book that's really dark.
Or what, you know, sometimes that doesn't help for people, or listen to a book where like, you know, you know yourself, you know?
Yeah.
If something either really dark or really happy, whichever is the one that you need.
Yeah.
Or makeup.
That's why I like listening to books that are set in like fantasy or sci-fi settings because then it is just like completely not real, you know?
Oh, or romance somebody in a video game. Just replace him.
Yeah.
With your digital girlfriend or boyfriend.
Find a new crush.
I've been playing Stardew Valley. It's taken over my life.
Oh my god, I've been hearing so much about that game. I got to play a little bit of it with you, but I feel like everybody is now obsessed with it.
Oh, God. Okay, I tried to romance Abigail. She eats crystals. I don't know why.
What?
I
is
think
that
it's
like
a bug
some
in the
just
game.
really hardcore toothpaste?
I think it's a bug in the game, but now it's kind of like who she is now, you know? Because everyone's like, why does she eat rocks? And I'm like, well, I hope they don't fix this because I'll give her trying to romance her is super expensive to the point where I was like, I give up. And I just like romanced Harvey the doctor, and but I was like giving her rocks, and she was like, "Thanks, I'm so hungry." And then I give her like actual vegetables, and she's like, "What am I supposed to do with this?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll just spend 1 million gil on you or monies or whatever." I was like, "Is she a dragonkin, like, or what?" Because she like goes into the graveyard to hang out and like only hangs out at night or when it rains. So I'm like,
wow, so creepy.
I don't know if it's creepy. It's kind of awesome because like one time I found her playing the flute in the rain by herself, and I was like, cool.
Well, she's the one that's like, oh, it's so beautiful when it rains. That one.
Yeah, and like her mom's like, I worry about Abigail, but then she like, if you befriend. At first, I thought the relationships were kind of vapid and just like, oh, we're friends now. But if you befriend people to a certain level, they'll like unlock cutscenes where they'll develop as a person. Like there's one character who's too shy to show her art. And if you befriend her and like talk to her a lot, she'll like be more confident and show her art to people. And it's a lot darker than, not darker, but adult than Harvest Moon games because like there was this one thing where somebody asked me a question and there was no right answer.
Yeah.
And I had to sit there for like a few minutes being like, oh, wait, no. It was a really tough question to ask, and I like didn't know what to tell them.
Wow. Well, that's an awesome game. Yeah, if you guys haven't checked it out yet, definitely recommend it. It's very good.
And there's like one guy who's a total dick to you at first. Just keep giving him stuff and he'll be happy. And he ends up being pretty cool. So.
Yeah. So with video game movies like Warcraft and Assassin's Creed coming out, do you think that video game movies will make a comeback? Also, what video game franchise would make a good movie? So since this person asked this question, they've announced that they are looking at Daisy Ridley from Star Wars as a possible Lara Croft for like the reboot of the Tomb Raider franchise, which would be awesome. I have been dying for them to actually make good movies around those games.
Wait, you didn't like the Tomb Raider movies?
No.
I loved them. I was also 12, but...
I mean, like, they're fine, but they're not like, I don't know. Well, it's like where you watch a movie and it's like maybe like a superhero movie or an action movie and you're like, oh, like I like that they're using this concept, but the movie itself is not very good.
Well, when did you watch the movie?
Like a year ago.
Oh, well, I watched it when I was like 12 and I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, this is great. This is awesome. And the Resident Evil movies, I'm like, perfect.
Oh, no. See, I liked the Resident Evil movies, even though they weren't very good. But, like, I knew they weren't very good, and I was like, still good.
I just remember really liking the Lara Croft movies and being like, yeah, Angelina Jolie, your butt's padded.
Yeah.
I think great.
I think now that they've done the reboot, I think they could do a really good job with it. I really do.
Yeah, and it's not a choice-based game, so people can't complain.
Yeah. It would just be, like, so awesome to see, 2013, 2015 style Tomb Raider. Mm-hmm. That would just be really awesome. And Daisy Ridley's pretty cool, so I think she would make a good Lara Croft. Any that you would like to see?
I would say The Last of Us, but you know what? Sometimes stories are like...
That's a tough one.
I think that people should really appreciate video game stories
as they are,
because there's a certain magic. Movies are movies, video games are video games. And I'm not saying like video games cannot have a story. I'm saying that video games have a level of story to them that you cannot get from anything else.
We talked about this. Remember when we were saying, like, can video games be art?
No, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about it because we're going to get in a fight.
What? But it's not a fight. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, but it's like...
You're saying that they can be more. That there's, like, a different level of story. And that's what I was saying.
I just have a different definition of art than you. That's all. Because I think anything that is a creative expression is art. And I'm not saying it's more or less than art. I'm saying it's all art.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just think that I like it when people use video game mechanics to make you care. Like, for Heavy Rain, that's a garbage story. But because it's a video game, I still gave a little bit of a shit about it.
I'm actually going to disagree with you. I think that aside from... Well, you know what? We haven't
cared about Sean.
We haven't played the whole thing yet, so I don't know that we can really talk about it too much. But there are elements of that story that I actually really like and I think are good, but I think the execution was crap.
It's all crap, but the very just basic part of, like... Because I'm playing the game, so then I try not to care, but then because I'm giving agency over what happens to the characters, I just automatically default to caring. So, like, when I have control over what's happening, I'm like, oh, I gotta disappoint Sean. Nope, can't do it. I love him. Like, it's weird.
Yeah.
And I know it's garbage, but for some reason, like, I can't let Madison die. I can't let... Oh, did you know that Jaden... This isn't a spoiler. The guy with the robot glasses?
Yeah.
He's gay.
In the game?
In the game, he's gay.
Oh.
But it's never said in the game. It's just like a detail.
Oh, so then why does it matter?
For the same reason anybody is gay matters?
No,
I don't know.
No, but like if it's never ever mentioned in the game, then nobody would ever know about it. So
Oh, well, David Cage, I think he was going to put it in there, but then something happened where he wasn't allowed to, or he decided not to say
Oh,
anything.
okay.
And then like when it came out, he was like, "He's gay, suckers." So
yeah.
But anyway, like, he's gay, and but I think it's just like video games, just for the fact of you having any sort of interaction or sense of feeling like you're in control of the story, even if you're not in control of the story, it just has that level of immersion that a movie or a book or a TV show or anything could never make you do.
Oh, yeah. Well, and also the fact that they're generally longer than a movie.
Yeah. It's just... That's why video game stories, when they're looked at from a third person, can sometimes feel not as strong. But when you're playing it, you're like, oh, wow, this is a very strong story because I'm involved in it. But if you, like, watch it from, like, a movie standpoint, you're like, what? No.
Yeah. Yeah. So Hannah from Ask FM was asking me, "Hey Stacey, I'm the girl on Twitter who read The Martian from your Audible recommendations. I watched the film a few days after the book, and I was just wondering, are there any film adaptations you actually prefer to the original book?"
I remember... Sorry, go ahead.
First of all, did you know that Die Hard is actually a film adaptation of Nothing Lasts Forever?
Well, then, there you go. There's a good book adaptation.
The first one that comes to my mind for this is actually Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
That's a really good book. The
Shining?
Oh, yeah. That's
The
a good
Shining,
one.
but it's technically a different story, but...
And in you know what? So in Jurassic Park, Lex is actually the one that's obsessed with computers.
Yeah. That's the boy, not the girl. I'm clarifying for the audience.
Lex is a girl.
Oh, what? In the movies, the girl is the one who's obsessed with the computers, right?
The girl is the one that's obsessed with computers. You know what? I'm like getting them all mixed up now because I've seen both.
In the movies, the girl was the one obsessed with
computers.
And I think in the books, it was different. I remember reading the books.
Yeah, so these are film adaptations that you like better than the book.
Yeah, I like the film adaptation better than the book for Jurassic Park. I mean, the book's still good, but it has a completely different message, which I also like.
Yes. My favorite movie, Blade Runner, I liked better than the book that it's based on. It's a very loose adaptation of Do Androids Dream of Sheep? Or Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. Mm-hmm. But it's not a totally fair comparison because the plots are actually really, really different. Like, so different to the point where it's like you wouldn't even sit there and say, like, these are the differences between them. It's just, like, two different stories. You know what I mean?
2001: A Space Odyssey is based off of a short story, but it's, like, very different.
Yeah.
The Shining is based off of a Stephen King book, which is very different from the movie, which is, it's still a good book, but it's just different.
I know, it's like, but sometimes with a movie, it's like they just bring something extra to it, you know?
And sometimes they don't, but...
Sometimes, most of the time, I would say they don't, but... Fight Club was a really good movie.
That was a good movie.
The book is good, but the movie is really, really good.
Yeah, the movie did something that... I mean, there's, like, a lot of different... movies, books, it's hard... it's the same as movies versus video games. It's hard to translate them.
Yeah.
Oh, the Sookie Stackhouse stories versus True Blood.
Oh, yeah.
They're both very different stories, but the True Blood TV show actually has a stronger narrative than the Sookie Stackhouse stories is, like, good, but it's kind of like,
Aren't they created kind of, like, very serially? Like, they're kind of...
Yeah, they're kind of juicy.
Yeah.
I would call them juicy.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of messed up, but then True Blood's like, no, we're gonna make it more messed up. And
we're gonna be super messed up.
But the Sookie Stackhouse stories are still really messed up too. It's kind of hard to compare. They're messed up in different ways.
Yeah.
What else? What else is a cool translation? Man, The Martian, I was like, calm down with.
Did you read the book?
I haven't read the book yet. I watched the movie with my boyfriend, and even I could tell that they were dumbing it down from the book I never read.
I haven't seen the movie, but the book
recommend not seeing the movie because I can imagine how frustrated you're going to be watching it.
Yeah, the book is so fucking good.
Hello?
What?
She's gone.
I'm gone?
Stacy's internet cut out randomly, so that's the end of the podcast. Follow us on Twitter and stuff. Stacy is at Geek Remix a lot, and I am at Geek Remix. Remember that you can download this podcast on any of your favorite podcast apps and be able to listen to this on your phone or iPhone Touch or whatever. Anywhere you can get your podcast, Geek Remix podcast is on, so download it.